Be the plume goon, to start down, need permission, now I stay real with it. Lay on foundation, know it's gon' build, bro, I been biddle with it. Your homeboy check the cash out, smart contracts for the cash out. Everybody want smoke till I turn the dare, show you where the house at. It's on the block.
What's going on, Underdogs? This is the Underdog Research Channel. We're going to have a great conversation today. It's going to be complex, but I'm going to break it down easy as a country boy like myself can do so that you can better understand what is about to go down. Why am I doing this surprise conversation out of nowhere? And I just got off the horn with you just a couple of days ago because it has to be said before it happens. A new catalyst has just come to my attention, and I've done some research, and I want to share that with you. New Coinbase catalyst. This has nothing to do with Coinbase listing Plume. Separate that from your mind. I'm going to talk to you today in detail about what just happened and why it should be important. Now, before I do that, let me give you a few disclaimers. I got to give you disclaimers, folks. It comes with the package. First of all, folks, this is not a crypto trading platform. This is a crypto research platform. That means I can't give you financial advice, so you don't take financial advice from Underdog. What you should do is look at the information, see if you can use this in your own due diligence, and if it helps you blow up your bank accounts, well, you're welcome. Now, I'm going to give two different types of things today. I don't talk about price action. I don't talk about those things. I talk about researchable information. So please share this right now on a big screen. Put this up because it's very visually intense. By the time you finish with this conversation today, you're going to find out why this new information is so big. Now, I'm going to do two things for you, and then we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to first go through the catalyst, the reason we're here. Now I'm going to do the explanation to better understanding it. And then I'm going to go into a Plume report. There's two videos in one. Now I won't give you the full report. I'm going to give that to my members. So if you want to do that, I'll share with you at the end of the conversation. But why are we here today? This is why. It was announced on December the 12th, 2025, a huge catalyst that is coming down that I want you to know about. This catalyst is called the launch of Coinbase's two different distinct markets. One, prediction markets, and two, tokenized stock, which will come to fruition on December the 17th of 2025. This announcement today is going to be about only one of those two aspects. And my underdogs who are with me on the paid platform and you're already members, I'm going to give you the prediction markets portion. Today, I'm sharing with everyone the focus of this conversation is number two, the tokenized stocks. This recent source shows us that on December 12th, 2025, there's 181,000 people who saw this particular post, December the 17th. Now, why does that matter? Well, as you saw at the very beginning, this is going to be a catalyst for Plume. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to connect the two, but I want you to understand, I'm going to take a Coinbase catalyst post and I'm going to connect it to Plume Network. And if you're with me on that, let's get into it. We got to do some fundamentals first. I want to give you a few definitions before we do that. Throughout this conversation, we have to remember that regardless of what you do in life, regardless of what your job is or what you find that makes money for a living, not everyone goes in the field of finance. Not everyone learns about stock trading. I know I didn't. I'm a technical, legal-minded person. That's the field that I got into, from technology versus legal, and I put it all together. So sometimes there's words thrown out there and we don't really understand, and that's okay. I'm going to break down these concepts. So before I go into the explanation about this Coinbase catalyst, let me give you one term you need to understand. That's what I do so we can have a clear understanding. You're going to see a word today, and it's called DTCC. Now, let me make it big for you so you can see what it means. Depository, Trust, and Clearing Corporation. Now, a quick, concise definition for this DTCC is a central clearing, settlement, and record-keeping authority for the U.S. financial markets. Now, you might think, Underdog, why are you telling us again? Here you go again, Underdog. Can't you just be like the rest of the content creators? Put a little rocket ship up there, Underdog. Let me see the moon. I want you to tell me it's going to go up 1,000%. That's what I want to hear. That's not what I do, folks. I give you researchable information. I need to teach you these concepts. So as we're talking about the conversation of tokenized stocks, you won't get lost in the big umbrella of it all. So let's just remember that DTCC is an important term. Now let's talk about that. We're going to talk about this, and I'm connected to Coinbase. I'm going to keep going back. Let's talk about the SEC and what they stated and how this is going to connect to Plume. You got to keep the core ideas on the fundamentals first. So the core idea is this Coinbase announcement connecting to Plume and tokenized stocks. Why does that matter? Well, let's bring it up. On December 11th of 2025, wait just a minute. Come on now. Y'all just going to let me get away with that? Let's go back with the timeline. Didn't I just tell you that this Coinbase announcement was on December the 12th of 2025? You think it's a coincidence? Well, let's find out what happened a day before. Don't let Underdog get away with that. Let's talk about this timeline one more time. On December the 11th, 2025, a day before this announcement, this SEC made this following statement. SEC just greenlit the tokenization of Wall Street. The SEC has officially approved the DTCC's plan to tokenize stocks, bonds, and U.S. treasuries, meaning the core plumbing of Wall Street can now move on to blockchain rails. Now, let me put it in green. I want to make sure that y'all see the next part in green, because some people are just so money focused that you don't understand that the research is the catalyst. The research are the candles. That's the red and green candles. Why does it matter about this DTCC and SEC? You know me, OPP. Okay, I'm going too far back. Y'all don't know about that. Let me show you why it matters, folks. This is the same DTCC that settles 2 quadrillion in securities each year. Now, y'all just gonna let me say 2 quadrillion. Y'all just gonna act like that ain't nothing. I didn't say million. I didn't say billion. I didn't say trillion. Let's bring it up, because someone's going to miss that. We're going to church here. 2 quadrillion in securities each year. Come on now. I'm not done with that article. So y'all want to just get back. So you're like, Underdog, we got to get back to Coinbase. If you don't connect the dots, it doesn't matter if we moved on Coinbase. You don't understand the significance of what you may have in your hand. So let's bring this up, this article. Now they have the green light to put real financial assets on chain. If tokenized stocks and bonds become standard, on-chain liquidity explodes, and crypto sits right next to the biggest capital flows in the world. DTCC authorized to offer new tokenization service, paving the way to tokenize DTC customized assets. DTC receives no action letter from SEC to offer new services to accelerate adoption of digital assets. Custodize assets. $2 quadrillion. A day before Coinbase announces that on the 17th of December of 2025, that they will be doing 2 main things. Due to the fact of this new policy that's moving forward. And what is that? Prediction markets and tokenized stocks. Now, tokenized stocks, why is that important to Plume Network? Now it's time to get the fundamentals. I told you that this is a part of the bigger conversation of zero knowledge technologies. I told everyone for months before we got here. I said the money rails that people say we're following the money trail, there's not even a trail unless you have privacy, security, for the money rails to be laid down. I want you to understand, before you lay down pavement on the ground, you have to work the ground over. You have to do things to make the ground ready to pave. You can't just put concrete or pavement over the regular ground. You have to process it. Zero knowledge technologies is a part of that process, but that's not the focus here. But that's how I knew that was coming, because I saw that this company, Plume Network, was laying down the foundations of what they needed to have for regulatory compliance so that big institutional investors could utilize them for what's to come. And what is to come, the SEC just told us on December 11th of 2025, this has not happened before. $2 quadrillion through tokenized stocks that they process. Coinbase, which listed Plume, is talking about what they are doing to the market, but I need you to apply and this to Plume and see the connection. The next day, less than 24 hours, Coinbase announces 2 new products for their asset offerings. What were the 2 new products? Once again, before we get into this, prediction markets and tokenized stocks. What will we talk about today is the significance for Plume Network with this humongous catalyst. Now let's get to it, folks. Coinbase makes the announcement. But in order to understand the significance of Plume Network, I have to give you a historical reference to what was then and what is now and what's to come. You can't move forward in the future and forget your past. We got to acknowledge the past. So let's talk about the problem. Tokenized stocks are not a crypto problem, everybody. It is a problem with the market structure. We can keep talking about the Genius Act and Clarity Act, but until these acts come to fruition, until the structure of the market, how it has been for over 100 years, changes, it's trying to fit a square through a triangle hole. That makes sense? Now, let's talk about this. What was the past? Let's talk about how it worked for stock. Stock tokenization works on blockchain. What would it look like? Well, in the past, and this is still how it works for tokenization, you take an asset, you select it. Let's make it Plume Network. There's legal considerations, just like the SEC, the legal aspect to consider that asset. That's number 2. The token you have, creation on blockchain, is what you have right now. And so you look at the token creation on the blockchain, the Plume Network token. I'm using that for example. Number 4, the token listing and distribution. We got that. Plume has been listed and is distributed through its partners and the exchanges. Number 5, the asset custody and backing. The asset custody is who owns that. And the backing is who's backing up this project, this token. And last, the secondary market management. Secondary market management. We got to understand, folks, a lot of retail investors, and I don't even like to call people retail investors because I truly think there's only 3 types of investors. I truly think there are, in the retail space, retail gamblers, more likely than not, retail traders, day traders, and retail hodlers. And oftentimes you see the discourse between this on CoinMarketCap. We see people fighting about price action, and they could care less about the fundamentals and underlying asset that they have. They don't know nothing about it. They're very ignorant of the token in which they have. And therefore, their analysis is based on the core fundamental value of a market price fluctuation. Now, that's, to me, it's like betting on a vehicle, the stock prices of Tesla, and you're betting on the fact that electric cars will do well without understanding that electric cars need certain type of materials that they have to be mined in order to make the batteries. If you only focus on the fact that electric cars have to do well, but you don't focus on the fact of how difficult it might be to get the things that the electric car needs to make the battery, it is a horrible way to trade. This is what I want you to understand. We have this structure, and this is what it would be looked like if we was trying to have tokenized stocks. Well, let's move on to that. Now, examples like I just gave you of a tokenized stocks has already been done. This is not new. I want you to still keep in the back of your mind Plume, but I need you to understand the fundamentals before we can even get to there. What are some examples of tokenized stocks? Let me show you some examples. One, Tesla, Apple, NVIDIA, MicroStrategy, Amazon, State Street, Investment Management. So we have seen this before. This is not new. This is not something that's unique, but what has to be in place so it won't be a one-off? The structure of the market. Well, I just showed you what the structure would look like as I just showed you here, but let's talk about it. Now I'm about to bring you into the next level of this because I can't tell you about the catalyst of what Coinbase is announcing unless you, as the consumer of this information, apply it to the project. We're not in elementary school. We're not in high school. Far long are the days where we read a book and we just read it for the purposes of reading comprehension. Now we must apply knowledge to the thing. That's the difference between having a bachelor's, master's, and PhD. At the PhD level, you have to apply science and create new science. At the master level, you have to not only understand the concept, you have to provide the meaning from that concept. At the bachelor's level, you read and complete the project. And in high school, you read for comprehension. And the lower we go in our understanding, the more fundamental basic we get. Folks, you are in the finance department the moment you buy one cryptocurrency. It might be technology, but you got to understand the department, the thing that you're in, because if you don't, you're trading based on people's sentiment, people's thoughts. That is not a good way to trade. Trade based on your understanding of the underlying asset and your risk assessment. Everyone's going to be different. Now, let's get into it. This is the traditional thing I want you to understand. I want you to understand the market, and we're going into this conversation. Here's the market. Stakeholders' interaction with an issuer-sponsored token model. So I'm going to give you this. I'm about to flip it on you. The underlying investors, that is you. The underlying investors, that is you. Third time. The underlying investors, that is you. The brokers, other DTCC participants, and custodians. Now, I want you to look at the left-hand side. I put this here so you can see the model. This model says there are underlying investors. Those investors could be retail or institutional. Please separate the two. You do have a certain amount of power as retail investors, but who has more? The bigger money. So keep that in mind. So when you see prices and say, who's dumping on the market? I need you to get in your mind that you're not the only person in your ecosystem. There's another alpha animal in this ecosystem called finance, and that is the big institutional investors. And they got a big set of teeth, and they're ready to eat up profits because that's how they survive. Now, let's keep going. Now, we see the institutional investors. We see the retail investors. On here, I have them identified as underlying investors. They interact with brokers. They interact with DTC participants. They interact with custodians like Coinbase, KuCoin, all these underlying custodians. Now, what do? All of that money transfers back and forth between these to the DTCC. Now, look in the middle of this. The DTCC exchanges send money to the DTCC. Retail investors send money to the DTCC. Institutional investors send money to the DTCC. DTC participants send money to the DTCC. Custodians send money to the DTCC. Brokers send money to the DTCC. Now, this gets processed. And to the right of DTCC, where does the money flow to and flow back from? The transfer agent, the master security holder file, and issuers. Now, where does the money transfer from there? Go to the right with this diagram, the certifications, uncertifications, and digital assets. The holders can sell securities into traditional markets. The holders can settle into beneficial shares in DTC. The shareholders, including those holding securities via a broker, can convert their shares to trade token form. I want you to please, folks, look at my face. Look at this. Put this big on your calendar. Put this big in your mind. Put this big everywhere. All of that $2 quadrillion has to be transferred through a transfer agent. I need you to understand we're going right back to why that is connected to Plume Network. I'm connecting the conversation, but I want you to understand, why does that matter with tokenized stocks? I'm connecting the conversation, but I need you to understand, why does it matter with the DTCC, $2 quadrillion? I'm connecting it. You just got to see it. And finally, it's not a crypto problem. It's the market structure. Now, that is the structure. That's how it works for 100 years. Now, here's what we're at now. This is what we don't think about. The fund subscription and payment over existing SWIFT systems. Now, I want to get for clarity, there's the SWIFT coin. That's a token you can find on Coinbase. I have a lot of videos. I got a SWIFT coin series. It's not the same one. This SWIFT is the financial system that we've had in place for a very long time. This helps us with bank transfers. It helps us with sanctions that we've done. The United States created this system. I want you to understand how it works with collaboration of others, but I want you to understand that that's what I mean when I say SWIFT. Now, I'm not going to go through this right now, the complete aspect, but here's the overview. You got SWIFT. It generates payment requests. You send confirmation for a payment request through the chain link. Now, what happens then? It fund distributes, updates digital TA from there. What happens then? There's a digital transfer agent. There's a blockchain. It connects. I could go through this, and ultimately, I just want you to understand, in the current system that we have right now, there is a whole nuanced process that you've never seen. From the time that you were born into this world until the time that you leave this world, you may not never know about. It just works for you. You slide your credit card and it works for you. You send money, it works for you. You didn't know what is in your motor of your car. You just drive the car. You're driving the car of financial rails that are laid down. But the structure of this car, the structure of this market has to change for this to be big. Why is this connected to Plume? Here we go, folks. Tokenization without the legal change fails. Plume had to have a change. And I'm saying Plume because Plume is number one in real world assets. But they got something else that we're going to talk about. They got something else that's related to Coinbase, not about the buying the tokens. If you stop with, oh, you can buy Plume on Coinbase, then you are literally giving the surface level understanding. That's literally like standing up in the middle of a church and saying, listen, everybody, are we in church? Obviously, you're in church. You got the pulpit, you got the preacher, you got the choir. Everyone knows you got the token on Coinbase, but I'm talking about the utilization of Plume. Why on the 17th of December of 2025, when you look back at this video, how it's going to age? It's going to age with the big change that the SEC just announced to you on December 11th of 2025. I didn't make this up. This is happening. Now, are you going to be prepared for it? Let's go into why the tokenization without legal change fails for Plume and what is happening now that's going to change everything for people who choose to see what I'm about to show you. Now, why most tokenized stocks attempts failed in the past, I told you about the ones that have done this. There's very few that have done this, but the ones that have done this, examples of them, they're one and few. But now they're going to be more, quadrillion amount more. But why did they fail? Well, the attempts failed in the past because of a few things. One, no transfer agent. Two, no legal shareholder registry. Three, no regulatory source of truth. See, I want you to see the diagram here. The blockchain was broken. Security laws were broken. You're trying to navigate up until this point, up until December 11th of 2025. It never happened before. You're trying to navigate the crypto waters. And you're trying to evaluate based on price action of a market. But you don't understand. You hadn't seen the fact that the system was broken. You're trying to fit a square through a triangle peg, and you're saying, I don't know why the market is not taking off. It must be a scam. It must be the big whales are doing this to us little guys. Folks, you're in a game of finance. The blockchain and security laws were not connected. It was broken. And Plume and other projects in this space, some better than others, are prepared for this change that just was announced on December 11th. Now, this is where Plume enters the picture. I've already painted this for you to a certain degree, but I need to show you. Let's talk about this. How stocks move today, the legacy system, the old system. Stocks are slow. They're fragmented. They're oblique. You have to have investors to the broker, the transfer agent, to the DTCC, to the issuer. Manual reconciliation, off-chain shareholder records. Maybe that's not a good way for you to look at it. Let's put it like this way. I want you to see it. The same thing. I just want you to see the legacy model. This is the model that has been in our financial system for 100 years, unchanged, inundated, old, inefficient. This is what you see. The same thing, just a different way of showing it to you. You are the investor. You would have to send it to a broker. You need a transfer agent. Then it goes to DTCC. Then it goes to the issuer. Now it goes down from there to the manual reconciliation, off-chain shareholders. It's slow. It's fragmented. It's broken. It's slow. It's fragmented. It's broken. How can Plume change this? Why does this matter with the Coinbase announcement? Why does it matter with the tokenized stocks? Why did the SEC say this a day before Coinbase? Do you think it's a coincidence? It is not. Let's talk about what is happening with this and why it's important. So the legacy system I just shared out for you, I just laid a foundation versus the Plume structure. I'm going to put up here. I told you to put this on big screen. I wasn't playing with you. I told you this is very visually enhanced for you. Let's see the difference. With the legacy, we saw it's slow, it's fragmented. With Plume, as that same infrastructure in this is near real-time settlement versus having to go through several middlemen to settle. We see that it's on-chain registry instead of going through manual registry. We see on Plume it's fewer intermediaries instead of multiple intermediaries. We see that's a single source of truth instead of reconciliation risk. We literally have the definition of old versus new. And if someone says, Underdog, that's the way it's always been, there's no reason to change it. Let me look you straight in your eyes. Are we out of our mind to think we don't want to change it? Enron, what happened? That's a little bit before some people's time. How many times can we lose billions or trillions of dollars from these companies because nobody knows what's going on? We've made movies about it. We've talked about it. This is the most pivotal time in human history with money. And some projects are in the game and some are not. Plume is in the game. And they're really in the game for what's about to happen here in the next few days. But let's talk about this. Why this institution walked away from the old system and why they're looking at projects like Plume. Well, there was compliance risk, there was custody risk, and there was legal ambiguity. That is why that the system that we are talking about here, that is why this system had to change. And that is why this new announcement is not the question of can we tokenize, it's can we change the system? In December the 17th, the system is changing. Now, it might not happen fast for those people who call themselves retail investors because you're looking for fast food versions of wealth. And the only thing that goes fast is things that don't do well. But we're behind already from most other countries. Look at Brazil and what they've done. Look at Singapore and what they've done. The United States is behind with AI and we're behind with tokenization. Look at Switzerland. This is where we're at. Now, I'm going to show you this new model that I put together for you. Integrating the new system that is going live on already. Let me start back. December 11th of 2025, the SEC announced it is live. Coinbase's portion was announced on the 12th. The only thing that different happens on December the 17th, which is at the time you watch this, is before this occurs, is the fact that you're getting the word that is going live. This is happening. This is my reinvention of the same process using Plume. Now, make sure you're paying attention. We got it right here. Here we go, folks. Tokenized stocks, the Coinbase and Plume connection. Now, I made this for you. I made this for you to see, but I want you to understand that my platform, I have a platform that I do training. It's my private platform. I will show you this at the end. Scan the QR code. You can get the report there called the Plume Report. I have one that's on YouTube, and I have one in my private site. Things on my private site goes in more depth for the training, the things you need to understand fundamentally to better understand these reports. So I want you to get that. So please let me know you got the resources if you need any additional assistance. But let me show you this, folks. Step one now, investors like you and me. Refill the institutional investors through December 17, 2025, entry into tokenized stocks. Coinbase is doing that. So step one, investors in retail and institutional investors. On December the 17th, we're going to see tokenized stocks. Now, step two, if you watch this, we're seeing purchase subscription orders. Now, what is that? We're moving through this money trail, going to Plume. Plume is already registered as a transfer agent. Why does that matter? In this new model that's going live now. It's now the official shareholder for registries on chain. It now can show owner validation. It now can show transfer authorization. It now can show corporate action eligibility. What else can it do? Now that it's the transfer agent, remember how the DTCC connected to the transfer agent? It can issue and transfer authorizations, asset originator, public or private companies issues compliant tokenized equity, recognizes Plume as a registered and authority with the SEC. Plume is already recognized, the first and only. Let's keep going. It's a legal source of truth where we was missing this before. Step 5, settlement. Near real-time settlement, legally recognized of ownership. Settlement is finalized all through Plume, through the ecosystem, and back to the reporting and oversight regulatory reporting structure. Now, what am I sharing with you? What you need to get with this conversation is, I just showed you the old system, the current problems with tokenization in the past, and on December the 17th, 2025, Coinbase is only one rail. This is the SEC is all those who get the legal compliance rails like Plume has, the only one who has in this space as a transfer agent currently in the United States of America. Who you think the institutions will use? Now, while you're sitting there buying a token for a couple of pennies, if they have 2 quadrillion of things going through the DTCC, and Plume just gets 10%, 1% of that 2 quadrillion, and the fees that use to pay the utility fees to process is the Plume network ecosystem, and the total value lock increases throughout the whole ecosystem. What do you think happens? The cause and effect. But I'm not going to talk about the price action because I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you have already been looking and studying the RWA.XYZ? I'm going to be showing you that the second part today, a glimpse of the Plume report, the financial side. If you're not studying the market using the right tools, then you have no idea what's happening with Plume. How much has it increased? How many are the holders? What's happening? I'm going to go over that with you. So we have this legacy system, right? And we see that this legacy system and the Plume system, what's happening with it. But we see that people walked away from the system in the past because they didn't have the thing that Plume currently has. And what does Plume currently have? Plume currently has the shareholder registry. It can do that on chain. It can tell you who the legal ownership is. And all the stuff that they didn't have, Plume has. No enforceable shareholder. Now we got this exchange in the ecosystem. We're in the game, folks. We are in the game. But I need to go deeper. So now let's show a little confirmation from some big industry people. Other than me, I'm not a big industry person. I'm just a retail holder. I'm going to talk about the big wigs. So let's talk about this new change. December 7th, 2025, Larry Fink basically told us a whole crypto setup and nobody reacted to it. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin, but I'm only talking about Bitcoin from a conceptual to apply it to Plume because I believe that Bitcoin and Plume are one and the same. And let me tell you why I believe this. We're going to bring up a conversation, a few today, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about tokenized assets. Here we go. Check this out. This is what Larry Fink said, and then we're going to get to the meat of it in this conversation. This is what he said about this topic.
Slews of middlemen in the whole financial services area. We have elongated settlements, elongated processes. If we could digitize every asset, so if we could digitize all stocks and bonds and have it more seamless going from a digital wallet of cash or a stable coin into equities or bonds through, in most categories, through an ETF, it will reduce the friction costs, the transaction costs, and it allows a much more free flow. So there's $4.1 trillion of money in digital wallets globally, sitting in stable coins mostly. And can you now, and right now, if they wanted to go into a bond or stock or have a real estate transaction, they have to take the money out of the digital wallet into a traditional wallet and have all those commissions and fees and all that stuff. So the whole idea of tokenization of all assets, including real estate ultimately, is going to just reduce huge friction costs, making investing easier, simpler. You could, as the secretary was talking about this one account, you can do this all through your app, and it's going to allow a more, I would say, a free-flowing process of investing.
A free-flowing process of investment. We're just getting started. We're about to transition. I'm going back to the premise, the principle of this conversation. The reason that I took my time, half of the day today and yesterday, to bring you this conversation because someone's not prepared. Someone else here tonight is not prepared for what's going to happen, and they're waiting for signals from technical analysis. Folks, this is not a technical analysis conversation. It only can tell you the historical value of a project. It doesn't take into account of the other factors. There's other factors that affect the overall market. Here's the thing that I keep bringing to you. Coinbase, the connection to Plume, Larry Fink, $13.3 trillion, the largest, the biggest, the baddest in the business, just told you about the tokenization, about reducing the friction and why tokenized stocks and other things like securities are important. You already know Plume is a transfer agent approved through the regulatory rails of the SEC. What do I have right in front? The question isn't, can we tokenize? Coinbase, Plume are asking you, can we change the system? And let the church say, yes, we can. The system is already changed. What other signal do you need? The thing of it is, if you're looking for a quick reaction in the market on the project you have, so your token will go from 2 cents to 4 cents, you're short-handed, short-minded on what you actually have. You don't realize what you have. And that's the problem. You're short-sighted. Let's keep going with this conversation. The problem is not the stocks. It's not a crypto problem. It's a market structure problem. And I haven't even talked about the Clarity Act because I want you to see what is happening before the Clarity Acts. So let's keep going. We're going to keep going, and we're about to go into a little bit deeper conversation. So we just heard from Larry Fink. December the 7th of 2025, this is what he said. The market has been behaving in a way that's hard to describe with usual labels. Prices moved, yes, but interesting part wasn't the movement. It was who was on each side of it. Bitcoin slid into the 80s, and that's 80,000, and bounced. Ethereum followed along. Nothing about the move was dramatic, but the reaction around it said a lot. Read what I haven't read there, folks. Retail traders treated it like a breaking point. But read right afterwards. But big players treated it like an entry. Now I'm going to finish this, but there's so much information. You get that shotgun blast and you're like, what is important? What's not, Underdog? Make it make sense. Retail traders, which one are you? Treated it like a breaking point. Institutional investors, big players, treat it like it's an entry. Your exit is their entry. Are you going to keep your mindset of these other individuals who are retail investors like you, who didn't take one moment to look at the actual factors, who literally are telling you on CoinMarketCap through comments, through X page in a comment, through arguments, the three things you hear all the time? I will give them to you. I can save you time. You don't even have to go to social media to find them. Let me give you the three things that a retail investor says every single time the market changes. It's a scam. They're dumping on us. I'm getting out of this token. If you need someone to do a video daily and post it, I promise you, I can give you these 3 quote signals you'll get from retail investors every single day. You don't need to check it. It will be there tomorrow. They're not giving you anything of value. And because of that, and because of the mixture of getting likes, shares, and loves, we don't hear what the big wigs are doing, which are giving us crumbs. Let's read it again and let's move forward. In red, Bitcoin slid from $126,000 to $80,000. Ethereum followed it. Retail traders, you treated it like it's a breaking point for crypto. Big players, they treat it like it's entry. Larry Fink basically gave the whole story during this interview. And he said this, and I'm going to share it with you. He said, sovereign wealth funds, literal national treasuries, were accumulated Bitcoin in the 80,000s, not thinking about it, not waiting for it to get lower. They bought it there. And he didn't say it in code. He said this quote directly, which I'm going to play for you. I know they bought more in the 80s. The only reason he can know that is because their order flowed straight through BlackRock ETF. Folks, I am a United States Marine. You might think that has nothing to do with this, but I'm going to give you a comparative analysis. If I have my rifle on the target that I want to eliminate due to the fact that I'm ordered to eliminate that target, I don't just pull the trigger. I slow down my breathing. I put my muzzle toward the target. I align my sights. I slow down my breathing. I put my finger, not just anywhere, but on the little fatty portion of this trigger finger. I slow down my breathing. I pull so slowly to get a slow, steady trigger pull, not to make my muzzle move an inch. And I hear a click and I send it downrange. That is not all by itself. I consider the wind. I consider the water, humidity in the air. I consider the ground, the elevation. I consider the speed in which the target is moving. I'm shooting in the place where I believe it will be. Now I'm shooting at the place at it. What I'm trying to do to compare that to this is our factors, the things we need to give us signals. If you're only coming online to watch some cheap influencer, some cheap content creator tell you that the thing you have is not important, ask why. If the only thing they can do is check out CoinMarketCap today. If you look at the price action, the RWA is oversold. It's underbought. It is the most craziest thought ever that you can understand value based on one factor. That is one, based on stocks. Do you understand that? The technical analysis may help you with an entry into something, may help you with an entry out of something, may help you to understand some signals. But if you don't understand that there's other factors and you're literally only using one, it's like me trying to take a shot at my target that I'm trained to hit without looking at the other factors such as wind, humidity, elevation, breathing, structure of my arms. This is so important. Larry Fink and President Trump, during the first administration, he met with them. Now, both of them were not crypto advocates. In fact, at the time, I've done a video that President Trump was the worst for crypto. He is the person who created crypto taxes. Don't have to believe me. You can go to when crypto taxes were first established by the IRS, why they got established and who started it. Because he believed that it's for criminals and the dark web. So he created crypto taxes and the bill that became law that he approved and put his input in his first administration. Larry Fink also thought it was for criminals and crooks. And he'll tell you now that his thinking has evolved. That were big issues with crypto adoption, was decades of individuals in administration and corporate and private sector presidents as well who continue to treat crypto. And that means if they didn't like it, why would anybody change the structure? But let's look at what he said here. Let's bring this out. There are a number of sovereign funds, Larry Fink said, that are standing by, Fink said, adding they are buying incrementally as Bitcoin price has fallen from its 126,000 peak. I know they bought more in the 80s, and they are establishing a longer position, and you own it over years. This is not a trade. You own it for a purpose, but the market is skewed. It is heavily leveraged, and that's why you're going to have more volatility. Fink said, referring to two major Bitcoin price swings since October that have sent Bitcoin price sharply lower. Plume token, comparative analysis like Bitcoin. Don't buy it for trade. It is not for trade. You might buy it and you're looking like a retail investor. Just like Bitcoin, stop buying it for trade. That's what he is saying, his opinion. And he is a $13.3 trillion company of other people's money because it is for long term. Read what he said, and I'm going to play it for you. He knew that people were buying Bitcoin because in his $13.3 trillion company, BlackRock, they were sending the money through his company. He sees the signals. I'm going to believe someone who sees the signals more than I'm going to believe John Doe on YouTube or some CoinMarketCap who just got out of the shower after a long day, didn't look at one signal and wants to tell me it's a fraud. Folks, what are these people doing with Bitcoin? It's not a trade. He's referring to Bitcoin. You own it for a purpose, but the market is skewed, heavily leveraged, and that's why you're going to have volatility. That means people are establishing longer positions. BlackRock is about 30-year investments, about hopes. I'm gonna play that for you. Bitcoin is about fear. When you fear the market's gonna crash, people put their money in Bitcoin as a safety haven. Now, look at Plume from a real world assets. People don't even understand what it means. They don't get it. Look at Bitcoin. People didn't understand what it meant. They didn't get it. Now you're in the same place as Bitcoin was years ago when people were buying pizzas for it. It is under 2 cents, closer to 1.8 cents at the time in which you're seeing this. They're regulated. They are approved. They have got the presidential administration approval. They are connected into industry. They are connected into private investors, but they're focused on institutional rails. There is a huge SEC announcement that directly affects their ability to transfer as an agent these digital assets. Let's play what he said. Let's see what the importance of it is. Let's see if I can share with this the effects of it. So this is what Larry Fink said about this conversation as well with Brian Armstrong. Let's talk about this.
I think we are in the economy right now. If we were back here a year or two from now, would we be in a materially better place? How do you see the markets?
Want to go first? I mean, I'm an optimist, right? I think that it's kind of a golden age for freedom that's happening with, democratization of access to these different products with crypto. We're seeing prediction markets really start to flourish. We have regulatory clarity now for stablecoins. We're seeing it emerging, hopefully, for market structure. And the U.S. feels like it's back on offense. We have a chance to go update the financial system with crypto and just get a lot of the friction out of the economy. Going into the midterms, who knows? Maybe the government will want to juice the markets, do some more rate cuts. So I'm generally optimistic, and we try not to get caught up in any short-term trends. We just try to build good products and play for the long term.
Larry, what do you say?
So managing the large, 40-something% of our assets are foreign-owned assets. Both, they have a 70 to 80% allocation of their portfolio in dollar-based assets. This is the place where they want to invest in the opportunity. We obviously earlier this year we saw maybe a 3 or 4% reduction, but they're still heavily overweighted. And so I think that is one of the great powers that there are very few destinations where capital is seeking long-term opportunities. The leaders in every industry are winning more and more share. So we are seeing this K economy developed in every industry. And what I think is happening is more and more companies are doing more with the same amount of people or less people. I mean, if you think about the ratio of, I think about it, BlackRock, our revenues are up 40%, our headcount's up 5%. Okay, so our margins are up about 300 basis points over the last few years. And so with technology, you're able to, transact more volume, more business. You have more technology doing much more of the fundamental, the backbones of what we do as a firm. I mean, having $13.5 trillion, we do a lot of trades, and we have thousands and thousands of different criteria that each investor gave it. And it is all done through technology. And so this technological change is happening today, but it's going to have a profound impact on our economy.
Do you believe them? See, the question isn't whether or not Underdog Research says it, the SEC says it, BlackRock says it, Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, the largest market, says it. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, do you believe in what the world seems to be signaling from the administration who is currently in power to the markets, the regulatory compliance? If you believe that what is stated to happen is happening now, not in the future, now it's approved, it's happening, then you have only one choice, is to understand what you have in your hand. Now, folks, I'm about to go to the second part. This is going to be the part 2 of this. The tokenization and also the Plume report. You've just got the first portion of it. I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to take a quick conversation with who's here before I transition. I want to put this out here for those who don't know. I have 2 Plume reports. Pay attention. I'm about to make this big. If you like this type of coverage, then I'm going to give you all the ways in which you can better yourself. I know this stuff. I take the time, I research it, I share it with you. You don't have to agree with me, but I share it with you, what I find. No hype, no, just research. But this is the ways you can obtain this. Here's my QR code. I have one on the left, one on the right. This is a different Plume report that is not on YouTube. This is on my private site. And the second one is on YouTube. Now, let me share this with you before we go on. If you scan the QR code right now on the left-hand side, this QR code is to the private site. You will see free information there that I've allowed for you to see, but it is a private site for training and crypto knowledge that is not on my public site. On the right-hand side, this Plume report is going to be released to my members at the analyst level. Now, here's the difference between these two reports, because a lot of people don't understand. Well, what am I getting? I don't understand it. I want you to understand what it is. I'm not just here doing this. This is my background and my specialty: technology, research, legalities. I put it all together and I put it there and I do the research so you can better understand it. Left-hand side, you scan that QR code right now, you'll go to the site. Later this week, I'll be releasing the financial aspect of the Plume report. That report is going to consist of what I'm about to show you. You're going to go in detail with rwa.xyz. This is a whole website for real world assets. I break down every factor, everything that I see. I show you the data that's from a site that has billions of dollars of, actually more than billions of dollars, that flowing through real world assets. And then I break down each element, just like you look at technical analysis. Look at this as research analysis. And then I provide you my analyzation of that, my evaluation of what I see in this Plume report. You'll see it in a second why that matters, because I'm about to give you the overview Plume report. The second one on the right-hand side above the Plume with the microphone, or not microphone, but magnifying glass, is the Plume report that I just started. The series is going to be episode 1. I did episode 0 of the day. This Plume report is for my Underdog researchers on YouTube. You can get the membership at the analyst level where you'll see this report. It is just like the free episode I put to the public. I also have a free thing that I call the Connected series. Some is paid, some is free. Now, if you become a member at the analyst level and you want both of them, all you got to do is sign up for the private site and you're a member there. Let me know, and I refund you with a discount code 100% of the value in which your membership is. That way you don't have to have 2 different memberships and cost more. You're only paying the difference between the 2. So you get 2 for the value of 1. You're just paying the difference between 2. I don't want you to sit here and have to worry about 2 different things. I want to make it easy for everyone to learn. I will teach about DTCC. I'll teach you about stock trading from the standpoint of understanding it. But you can't use it as financial advice. You just got to use it for your wealth knowledge and gaining knowledge in this space. So here it is. Let me share it with you. Screenshot it. Use your phone. Scan the QR codes. You'll see it go 2 different places. Check out the video. See what you like. But we're about to move into the Plume report for this conversation. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, without further ado, let's get back to it. And then I'm going to go to 2 more, and then I'm going to talk to you, and we're going to go to the Plume report. So before we do this, let's see where we're at, folks. Now, we just talked to BlackRock, Larry Fink. Before this, no transfer agent. Plume is a transfer agent. There was no legally recognized transfer agent. Plume is a legally recognized transfer agent. No compliant ownership updates. Plume has that approval to do these things. What makes Plume that thing? There was before no regulatory source of truth. I showed you in my diagram right here that Plume is the regulatory source of truth. That shows you the difference of what we were doing to what you need to do tokenized stocks and securities and assets, and how Plume can be that transfer agent, not just for real world assets, for any asset, any tokenized asset based on what they currently can do. No regulatory recognized record, no audit grade recollection. Now they have that done with Plume. Now, how do I know this? October 7th, 2025, Plume and also the SEC announced Plume has registered as a transfer agent with the SEC.gov. This accelerates our mission to bring $1 trillion, you read it, $1 trillion US securities market on chain. It's our first step in working with SEC to build fully compliant tokenized capital markets. Did you hear what I said? They didn't say million, $1 trillion. You don't see the importance. We're about to go to you, and then I'm going to get to the Plume report in just a second. Let's see if you remember. December 11th, 2025. This happened before December 11th What is today's date, folks? SEC said they are greenlighting tokenization on Wall Street, a $2 quadrillion in securities each year. It's not a question of tokenization. They changed the system. That is what you're seeing. And DTCC brings in $2 quadrillion in securities. And that same SEC, before they made this announcement, October 7th, they approved one in the history Plume Network as a transfer agent for securities and tokenized assets. Now, Plume is also live on Coinbase. You can stick your beak in it. This is a retail investor's way to get into it, not an institutional grade. They can get into it through Coinbase, and they do manage ETFs, a large part by Coinbase of BlackRock. Did you know that? Larry Fink and Brian Armstrong that I just showed you, Coinbase manages a lot of their Bitcoin ETFs. Now, the thing about it is, you want to get your exposure, you have to buy the token because you can't get the institutional grade products. So get the token if that's what you choose to do. If you want the price to go up, then over time, remember, this is not a tradable thing. It's not like I don't know, some meme coin. This is like Bitcoin. Like Larry Fink was saying, look at it for long-term investment. He deals with 30-year investment. Are you willing to wait 10 years, 5 years? If not, maybe it's not for you. For me, that's the perfect thing for me, for my future. Now, let's keep going. December 4th, 2025. This is 2 days afterwards. Forbes published the same thing I just showed you. They said the following. They said this. They bought more. BlackRock CEO reveals sovereign fund Bitcoin price bombshell alongside stark Trump warning. Now, that's referring to what I just showed you a clip of, where during the $80,000 range, Larry Fink told you on December 2nd in that interview with Brian Armstrong, he's told you that he saw through his $13.3 trillion assets, 40% of that from foreign countries, 60% of that from local United States companies. He saw an increase of people buying Bitcoin. So he know they're buying more. So we got to understand that when you exit, that's their entry. Now, last but not least, before we go into the rwa.xyz, you can go there. You can watch this stuff too. I'll break it down for you. This is your equivalent to coin market cap, folks, but not price action. We're talking about different factors. This is going to be my Plume report starting in a second. I will greet you, and then we're going to go into the Plume report. This will be the overview, which you can see on something like YouTube. But the final product, you need to go to my private site. I'll give you the full product this week, but I want you to see an overview of the things we'll talk about. But let's get to you. Folks, I am here with you. Let's see who has come in to the chat before we start the second part. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of break. We've already been at it hard. Y'all might think all my videos are this way. My videos on the private site are between 15 to 20 minutes. If I do a series, it'll be 30 minutes in length at max. But these lives are longer because I'm breaking down two concepts. I'm teaching you and I'm showing you and I'm bringing you connections before they happen if I can. So, and giving you announcements. So that's why these are a little bit longer. But I will break these conversations down too. But I just want you to know they're not all like this, folks. You normally need about 15 minutes max on my regular videos. 30 minutes in a series, and then these lives just tend to be longer because I'm doing more communication with you. So let's see who's here, folks. Start at the top. Thank you for being here today. We got Jody Pope, 3484, another big Underdog research channel extravaganza in the making, all facts. Quiet to your thoughts, tap in and listen, family. Thank you for the promotion. Jody is also a member. Y'all see that little circle? He took the time to be a member. Who's going to become a member today and who's just going to get that free stuff online from people who tell you what you want to hear with rocket ships and just shield to you? I don't do the shilling, but I will give you researchable facts. So thank you for being here, one of the members. Let's keep going. We have Underdog Research Channel. Me just giving you an announcement that I was here. New Jersey's in the house. Y'all see the circle. I'm going to give shout out to my Underdog Research members at the analyst level. They got that circle behind their name. New Jersey is in the house. Thank you, Square. Appreciate you being here today. And you always get here and show support. Thank you. Jay Shear, all facts, and people will still call this space a scam. Hey, look, Jay Shear, you're right. We cannot control what people say. All I'm saying is this. If you get the research, I can't tell you what to buy. People still ask me what to buy when you sell. You're not getting me in trouble. Underdog I need to take care of myself in that regards. I am not a financial advisor. In fact, I'm a technology expert. I'm a research expert, and I'm in the legal field as well. And I merge it all together for you and take my time to give you what I can research on my own and not tell nobody about. But I want you to win. So people will still say things are scam, but think about it. What is their basis other than the price is down? And that is a horrible basis to have. All right, we got Randy Espiritual. We might be down, but we're all good. Y'all ready for this? I like it. Thank you for being here for today. Thank you for saying that. We got Swift Coin Hoarder. Got Plume, but a bigger bag is Swift. Also a member. You see the circle. Thanks, Underdog, for your videos. As a matter of fact, let me do this while I'm going through to say hello. We're gonna continue. Don't forget, if you check out on me now, you're gonna miss the Plume report because I just went through the Coinbase announcement that I've been giving you. But don't check out. Stay with me a few minutes longer if you want to get the Plume report. So let's do this. But let me pull this up for you, and I'm gonna continue with the conversation. So here it goes, folks. I'm going to leave this up. If you want to come here, take a screenshot, scan with your phone. You can become a member right now, either private or both sites. Up to you. But I'm going to leave it up while I keep doing this. All right, we got Mr. E, aka Mr. Baby Years. Good time to buy Plume investors. Thank you for being here today. One of the hardest working men out there, works hard and is also part of the Black Root community and is always supporting everybody. So I appreciate you doing that. And if you're just checking in again, I'm about to do the second part of this. If you check out early, that's on you. You're going to be looking back like, what did he say? The Plume report is up next. You don't want to miss this. I'm going to go through the real world assets and give you an overview. And then I'll be releasing a detailed report later this week. So don't miss out, folks. All right. We got the Phantom Beat, the true middlemen of finance. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is Square 45 a member? BTC has created so that we could take advantage of peer-to-peer transaction like bartering back in the day. Absolutely. That's the new digital bartering. Ozzy, Plume is king. What's up, Ozzy? I see you on X all the time, so thank you for being here, man. I see you gave me some like and love on X, so I appreciate it. So share my videos, folks, right now. Take a minute. You want this to get out? You want people to hear about Plume from this standpoint? If you don't like it and you don't share it, you're not really an investor. You're a crypto gambler. So if you want people to hear this, share it on your page, retweet it, or share it in your phone. Press like, leave a comment. That creates algorithm engagement, so YouTube will share this knowledge. If you don't do that, then someone who wants to shield to you and tell you about the MACD and the entry, that will get first. So is it in your pocket? It's up to you, folks. We got Square Underdog. You're a bomb, bro. Thank you, man. Your research is more than thorough. Great job, bro. I appreciate it, folks. I take a lot of time and pride to give you this research without hype. It's hard, folks, because there's a lot of biased stuff out there, but I hope that you find this of value. We're almost there, folks. We're about to start the Plume report. Somebody's going to check out and they're going to miss it. And then the 17th is going to come up and you go like, oh my goodness, did anyone know this? Yes, Underdog told you, but you wasn't there for the Plume report. All right, we got Phantom Beat again. The rails are almost done being set. Preach. Once these institutions have in writing what they can and can't do, money will flood in. Wise man, folks. 100V11 V. The problem is people don't want to take the time to learn and understand the value of where they place their money. They want instant results. This cannot be more true. If you are in a project for short-term results, then please watch a trading platform and become a crypto trader. Get TradingView, pay the money you need to pay. If it's stock, it's $25,000 to have a stock account that you can do trade and day trades. If it's crypto, there's no account you need to get. And you go and you should leverage the volatility. That means you're in a project like Bitcoin or a company like, Solana, and you buy it and it goes up 5% and you're trading at 5%, 10%. That's a day trader. If you don't meet that mark, you are a crypto hoarder, or you are a what? Crypto gambler. And I think people are getting confused. Learn the technology. I get so many comments, and I'm about to get to it, folks. I get so many comments, some good, some bad. And I don't know what I can do. I'll get off this live and someone's going to leave a comment. Underdog, tell me the price predictions. I don't do price predictions. How do I know? I have no idea what's going to be a price prediction. That works now. People say that because you patronize places that tell you what you want to hear. It makes you feel good. And then when it doesn't happen, then you blame the person who told you, but it was just hype. It was just speculation. It was just talk. It had no substance. But this is substance. You can make your determination based on your own brilliance. You decide, not me. You decide what you get in and when you get out. So that's what I want to say to you. All right, let's keep going. Ozzy laughing. I don't know what you're laughing at, Ozzy. You got to tell us what you're laughing at. All right, we want to laugh too. Ha ha. We want to laugh too, Ozzy. There you go. Probably something I was saying in the comments. And Hiro Tamnami, y'all see that? A Underdog research memo at the analyst level. Only strong tokenomic technologies will survive and thrive and last, but not least for right now. Plume go 1000x in 2026. If you believe Plume may go 1000x, you're aligned with Ozzy. That's what he believes. Let's see if Ozzy is right. Now, folks, it is time for the Plume report, the RWA version. You had time to scan this QR code. You had time to become a member. There you go. Are you ready to get started? Let's get into it. Let's get the report. So, folks, we're going to get into the Plume report right now. This is the Plume report, folks. First, I'm going to talk about the RWA.XYZ. This report is the financial aspect of the Plume report from the standpoint of holdings, not from technical analysis. I am going to evaluate what I see in RWA.XYZ. You can go there, RWA.XYZ. If you're not checking this thing like CoinMarketCap, then you don't know what any tokenized product is doing, or real world asset, I should say, because you're not checking the marketplace where it tells you and aggregates the data from everybody. Now, let's talk about my report. According to RWA.XYZ, the global market for RWAs at the time in which you're watching this is as follows. Tokenized real-world assets and investors, issuers, and service products participating on public blockchains. Currently, there's 18.59 billion distributed asset values, and we'll talk about that in a second. There's represented asset value of 414.59 billion. There's total asset holders at 571,219. And then total stablecoin value 300.85 billion. Total stablecoin holders 209.89 million. Here we go. Let's talk about it. So, what does that all mean? You saw some numbers there. Maybe you knew what that meant. Maybe you didn't. But this is giving you on this site the overall global holdings. Now, if you look at this site, just like CoinMarketCap, gives you metrics that you can look in. Each of these values that are reported, you see to the right, it talks about the tokens, the companies, and who does what through what time period, the total value, the distributed value, the transfer volume. This is a account of real world assets globally in this website. So just like CoinMarketCap talks about the market cap and token prices and markets and a little bit about the companies, this is from a real world assets chain. So make sure you're starting to review rwa.xyz daily like I do, and look at the projects that are in the space that you're interested in the global market. With that being said, let's talk about Plume. I've looked at recently Plume's piece of the pie, and I evaluated it. The evaluation will be for members only. I will make it a free episode, but you're going to have to use the QR code I gave you earlier, and you have to scan it, and you'll see it open later this week. This is only the overview for the Plume report. Let's talk about what you'll see here. Here we go. Right now, Plume Network is the first full stack layer 1 RWA chain and ecosystem purpose built for RWA-Fi, enabling rapid adoption and demand-driven integration of real-world assets. With 180 plus projects building on the network, Plume offers a composable, EVM compatible environment for onboarding and managing diverse real-world assets, coupled with an end-to-end tokenization engine and a network of financial infrastructure partners. Plume simplifies assets onboarding and enables seamless DeFi integrations, real-world assets. Folks, pay attention. I'm going to give you numbers. This is the overview. This is not my deep dive, but this is the Plume report of where Plume is right now at the time of which you're watching this, what piece of the pie it has in contrast to what globally RWAs are. So let's talk about where Plume's at. Plume, distributed asset value at the time of which this is being seen, 119.7 million. Plume, represented asset value, 52.69 million. Plume, real world asset holders, 281,361. Now, I do need to go back to show you something really quick, folks. In the global market, there's only total asset holders of 571,219, and that is not a mistake. Of that, Plume has over half of the RWA holders, which makes them the number one in the space of RWAs in the world. I think that's important. Let's keep going. Real world asset 30-day transfer volume, down 71% in the last 30 days, currently 38.69 million. RWA count, 198. Stablecoin market cap, 68.75 million, down 12.26%. Stablecoin holders, 148,112, down, that's up 0.66%. And lastly, stablecoin 30-day transfer volume, 280.38 million. Now, of this, what you need to pay attention to is the middle portion. I need you to understand that despite being down 71% in real world asset transfer volume, transferring of real world assets, and despite the stablecoin volume transferring being down 76%, we saw an increase in Plume of 0.42% increase in holders. We see an increase in stablecoin holders of real world assets as well of 0.66% and real world asset holders of 0.42%. Now let's go back and compare it to the global. I want you to pay attention. Total asset holders went up globally 6.10%. Total stablecoin value went up globally 1.67%. So if you look at this right now, Plume is close to almost up almost 0.5% in 30 days. Why do you think that volume is dropping, but holders are increasing globally. Who do you think those people are? Well, let's show you and not guess. This is all Plume data. Look at the yellow arrow. Now, the date of this is 6/1/2025. Let's look at it. I'm going to give some of these to you. To the far right, you might not be able to see it unless you put this on a big screen. You see the players that are the itemized players to the far right of these different colors in the legend of who owns what. On the far left, I show you the amount specifically, and this is the distributed active addresses. And the yellow is the month I'm talking about. I'm only going to give you a few figures. Plume USD at the time had, of that 248,896 active addresses, of that, there were 63,679 in the Plume USD. USDC, 57,354. And I'm not going to go through all this. Nest Alpha Vault, 50,794. So if we see back in June 1st, Plume had 248,896 distributed addresses. I didn't talk about represented yet. I hadn't talked about all addresses, active distributed addresses, including stable coins. Let's see where we keep going. Moving forward, now we're at 7/1/2025. Plume dropped from where it was at 248,896 active distributed addresses to 239,788. Let's see what happens. Going into August, what do we see? We see Plume is dropping 157,280. Again, I hadn't told you the difference between represented and distributed, but these are active addresses, dropped to 157,280. Let's keep going. 9/1/2025. What do we see? Keep looking at the map. Hope you have this on big screen so you can see it for yourself. 9/1 drops almost, let's look at the difference, from 157,000 to 108,000 on 9/1. Got the yellow arrow. You see it going down. Let's keep going. 10/1/2025. Whoop, we'll jump back up to 156,943, where it was down. It was 157 in August. September drops down to 108,000. And then the active addresses jump back up to 156. November down to 95,000 active addresses distributed. And then now, December, it is down to 29,000. And we are seeing what? An increase starting to happen. Now, that was literally just the overview. If you watch and you scan that QR code that I have here, right here, and I'm going to put it up for you, then I will give you the more detailed breakdown individually of each and every one of those aspects and tell you what it means. What's the difference between distributed, represented? What does it mean? How much this is RWAs are here? Why is it increasing? But I want to give you an overview. Now, I haven't even correlated it yet, folks, to the Bitcoin price. But I just want you to understand where I'm at in the mindset when it sounds how ridiculous it sounds when you see people come online and they'll make a comment and like, Plume is a scam or this crypto is a scam, and never even took one look at the data. Plume is currently increasing in holders. And we saw, as we saw earlier, let me pull this up here. As we saw earlier, between the months of October and November, September as well, it could drop 50,000 and then jump up 50,000. How quickly 30 days changes for real world assets. What do you think is going to happen now with the December 11th announcement that came from the SEC? What do you think is going to happen now? Which what I told you with the new catalyst with Coinbase. What do you think is going to happen now as the tokenized stocks that Coinbase is bringing on? So prediction markets, tokenized stocks for institutional investors. How do you think the market has changed? This has never happened before. You don't know what could happen because it's never happened before. But biggest thing yet, let's make sure we're clear. This legal change, what effect will it have, since we know one thing is true, is that on October the 7th of 2025, that Plume became a transfer agent approved by the SEC for securities and tokenized projects as well, real world assets as well. Now, I put you in the know what this connection means. I showed you this diagram between tokenized stocks, Coinbase, and Plume. Don't think Plume, I bought a token on Coinbase, it's 2 cents or less. Yes, I know about Plume. I'm talking about real institutional companies actually using the ecosystem. I'm not talking about you owning, as a retail investor, a token. If that is the only thing you're getting from this, then this platform is not helping you at all, because you want someone to do what they do on YouTube all the time and other platforms. They literally go on CoinMarketCap, read a couple of lines, and give these fake squiggly lines to tell you their price predictions based on Bitcoin price alone without considering anything else. Why was holders dropping? Why does legal clarity help? All this matters. Now, let's get to some other key things, because we're almost done, but I have a few more things to share. So we're going to go back to the topic. We just gave you the overview of the Plume report, but what was the topic today? Brian Armstrong's December the 17th upcoming conversation, where they're announcing the two assets that I say assets, the two new products they're going to use: prediction markets and tokenized stocks. Now, let's hear from Brian Armstrong myself. Now, let's take off this. I left this up the whole thing, and I apologize for that. Y'all had to see someone's comment through all that. So hopefully that didn't disturb it too much, but I want you to get the information. So let's take this off here. And now let's play a little more about Brian Armstrong earlier this year when he was at the White House. This is what he said.
Wilkins. Emily, take it away.
So much, Morgan. Brian, thank you so much for being here. You got that shout out, of course, from the president. Talk to me a little bit about what this stablecoin bill becoming law is going to mean for Coinbase.
Yeah, well, this stablecoin bill passing is really a financial revolution for America. It means that crypto can finally start updating the financial system, especially for our payments, which are running on these creaky old systems that are decades old. Now every payment in our economy can be fast and cheap and global, under 1 second and 1 cent anywhere in the world. So this is a huge milestone for crypto, and the job's not done. We also want to get the market structure bill called Clarity passed as well. The president said he wants to see that on his desk by September 30th. We're committed to trying to help that happen along with the rest of the industry, and it offers good consumer protections and regulation for Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the non-stablecoin crypto assets as well.
And let's talk about that market structure bill for a minute. Obviously, the House passed their bill with strong bipartisan support, but the Senate is planning on coming up with their own version of this bill. Should the Senate just take up the House version, given the strong support? Or if not, what do you want to see the Senate change from the House version?
We actually really like the House version. It's called the Clarity Act, and we think it's a really good piece of legislation. Now, the Senate will have to look at it and see if they want to make any edits to it, but I'm hoping that there aren't too many and that we can get it on the president's desk by September 30th.
Brian, it's Morgan. It's great to have you back on Overtime. Congrats on the milestone today. I want to go back to this creaky financial infrastructure. How quickly can that infrastructure now be overhauled with this legislation making its way into place?
Yeah, well, I think now that we have clear legislation, we're going to see the Fortune 500 really start to adopt stablecoins. We've started to see this a little bit already, even with the news that this was, going to pass in the near future. Coinbase just launched an integration with Shopify, for instance, and we've seen announcements from Walmart and Amazon, and almost every Fortune 500 company is now coming in and starting to look at stablecoin payments. And so this is a big opportunity for us. It's a TAM expansion for our business, and we think that we can provide these wallets and payment APIs for really, the whole financial system and every company eventually.
Yeah, and is it safe to call this a new and emerging revenue stream for Coinbase? And if so, how quickly does that grow over time?
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. Our first revenue stream was around trading And then we also have subscription and services, which has become a bigger and bigger part of our revenue over time. I think payments is the next big category, and this is a daily use case for crypto for millions of Americans and eventually people around the world, especially those doing cross-border transactions and in countries where they don't have stable currency. They might have 50, 100% inflation a year, and so they have high demand for the dollar. They can now, if they have a smartphone, they can get access to a dollar-denominated account. And so I think trading and payments are going to be the two biggest categories for us, and it's absolutely a new revenue line for us that'll smooth out our revenue with like a daily use case that's not tied to crypto trading volatility.
So this is not the end. This is the awakening. As I've been saying throughout this conversation, this announcement that will be happening the 17th of December, 2025, and moving forward, this is still evergreen content. You can keep coming back to this video, pause it, look through it, because this is just giving you a placeholder for you to reference as you do your research. I only talked about tokenized stocks. I did not even touch on prediction markets. I will touch on that on the private site. On my members only site, I'll be talking about the Plume report and other catalysts that you need to know. As we just heard from him, he talked about stable coins. Now, if you remember, as I was sharing this data with you, stable coins are very important. And I've talked about that in other conversations, because part of this real world aspects that we talk about for Plume, they discuss their stable coin. This includes stable coin holdings. Now, in this particular graph, you don't see all the stable coins there because I didn't put it in that particular graph. But part of that, people don't understand that a real world asset, tokenized asset, a stable coin is still that. A lot of times we get these labels and we put them in two different categories. I will show you again something I've shown you in the past where Plume CEO Chris Yin talked about how people misconstrue the stable coin being a real world asset. These are still the same. So Plume will still be able to own real companies' stable coins. So as the stablecoin market grows, as a real world asset market grows, then this is going to be also a catalyst for Plume. It's in the right place, the right time, has the right administrations that are happening right now. It will continue because this is an election issue. So if companies worry about what happens 3 years from now, listen, everyone knows now that if you have any administration, Republican, Democrat, it's not a United States issue, it's a global issue. If you don't compete and stay in this market, you're not going to be a part of the people who get elected. So we're not worrying about the same things we used to worry about. We got to change our thinking. This global market will increase Plume because they're already SEC approved to do this thing. Now, I want to remind you who Plume is by bringing up one of their founders and talk quickly about something you should already know. So let's bring this out here so you can see it. This is one of their founders. Let's see what they said.
We really started Plume, at least from my side, that was the piece that I saw was missing, really having like a chain-wide ecosystem to support RWAs in general. So what we're building at Plume is a permissionless EVM blockchain network, just totally dedicated for real-world assets.
Permissionless, EVM, compatible, real world assets, specializing in real world assets, stable coins or real world assets. So when you hear the Genius Act, think Plume. When you hear tokenized stocks, think Plume. When you think about transfer agents, think Plume. When you think about how it has to work from how it used to work, and DTCC would then send funds to the transfer agent, and never before could anyone else do this, think Plume. There are multiple ways to get exposure, and I want to bring this to your attention. I want to let you truly understand what I am trying to say here about Coinbase and about Plume. I need you to get this part. This is what they are doing. There's multiple ways that Plume enters and fits in this space. one of the ways that you may be more familiar with is buying a token from a marketplace. You call it a secondary marketplace. That's what I'm going to call it. You buy it off an exchange, decentralized, centralized, it doesn't matter. That is your way as a retail investor to get exposure for you. What's the other way that Plume can get exposure through their Nest Vault, which I've talked about? Multiple vaults for ETFs, securities, credits, debt, that they created as products that you normally don't see unless you're a institutional investor. And if you're not a institutional investor, you don't have a company, you never had exposure to it. We're talking about the JP Morgan banks of the world. Now, their exposure might be different. Their exposure might be using the ecosystem that Plume has already created for institutional investors. This is huge. Where does Plume fit in? Plume fits in when we're looking at Coinbase having a token. They are themselves going to facilitate, just like they do for BlackRock, the transfer of this new asset class and give it to you. But Coinbase at this current time doesn't have a bank, but they're working on getting a bank. Plume is the transfer agent. You don't want to buy the Bitcoin door. And I'm using this metaphorically speaking. You want to buy the hinges for the door. See, if all money has to pass through and Plume sticks its beak in it, literally, you know, Plume is a bird, stick its beak in it, you get it. Then Plume will be utilized, and a utility coin is Plume Network token. The larger the ecosystem, the downward flow of that money and the money going back, the more opportunities for Plume to use as utility token to pay for those fees and other things associated with the ecosystem. The ecosystem is what it is. Now, a lot of times we have people who talk about the big people getting money and the little retail investors. Let me tell you, let me get this straight out your mind. I want you to understand this. Do you think that's new? The legacy stock system is made for everyone but the retail investor. So let's not play like this is new. There's a reason that you have to have $25,000 in a stock trading account to day trade. Try going on Robinhood right now, grab your little tokens or stock, buy a Walmart token at 8 o'clock a.m., then sell it. Then buy it again and try to sell it twice for profit within a 24-hour period, and tell me if you don't have $25,000 in a trading account that you won't get a nasty gram from Robinhood saying that you are guilty of day trading, and if you continue to do so, you will be suspended for up to 6 months. That's what got me into crypto. So this whole mindset that some people have about the big guy making money, listen, folks, you will always get the crumbs. But those crumbs that you're getting in crypto, for many people, it's life-changing. So I'm not so worried about getting crumbs. If a big company puts billions of dollars into an ecosystem as a venture capital, then they plan for a 7 to 10 year return. I am not getting mad at a big company for coming back in 3 years or the 7 years and saying, I put money into this company before this company needed capital. I'm looking to get money. This company shook my hand and said, I will take your money. You retail investors, you saw it too, because you read the reports and you was bullish on the fact that a venture capital invested in this cryptocurrency company. But I'm mad now because when the price of the token goes up in the market, as a company, I'm going to go collect the money I borrowed to you. What? If you get a borrow out or loan out $1,000 from your buddy, and your buddy says, listen, if you let me borrow $1,000, I'm going to use this money to start my business. And I tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a return in investment for this $1,000 you loan me, buddy. I'll give you a return on 15%. Now make it 20% of my revenue when I'm profitable. But if you don't mind, buddy, if you give me that $1,000, can I break it out over a course of time to pay you? Because I don't think I can handle paying it all in front. So you, as the buddy, gives them $1,000 of your hard-earned money that you go made at your blue-collar, white-collar job. They start a business, and their business blows up. And they take the profit from their business to pay you back in segments over a course of time. Would you then complain and say, as the customer to the business that patronizes the friend who made the money, I can't believe they paid them back all that money that they promised they would pay them within the first 7 years? It is the most wildest, craziest thought process. Listen, folks, don't get in this thing emotionally. Understand this. If a venture capital invests money into a project, every time you say it's bullish that JP Morgan and big companies invest in a cryptocurrency project, every time you see a listing on X and it says partnership, and you don't ask the financial agreement between the partnership and that project, and then you dare to have the audacity to get upset because the company itself is taking back equity that they obtained lawfully by giving the very company that couldn't even be in existence without their help, then you're really, really disassociated with how capitalism works, period. So all I'm trying to say is, most of these cryptocurrencies aren't like Plume Network with the strong backing, regulatory compliance, and big wigs like the President of the United States taking pictures and giving collaboration and partnership with his company, World Liberty Finance. I don't need to like the administration to understand the writing on the wall for the next 3 years at minimum. The question for me is, will I see a return in the next 5 years? Because I am not a day trader. I am not a crypto gambler. I am a crypto hodler who just simply put $1 in. I just want to make $1.05. If I make $1.05, I made the same amount that most average stock make. If I make $1.10, I made above that. That's called alpha. If I make $2, I am extraordinary as a trader. But what we're doing in this space right now, we are simply continuing to go in a space where we are not truly understanding the value of the thing we have, and we want short-term gains. But that comes with understanding that there's a long-term model. We're going to finish this up, and we're going to go into the final stretch. I'm going to go back to you. I appreciate y'all being here. You got both reports. December 17th, 2025, Coinbase releasing 2 different asset classes. That's what I'm going to call it. Prediction markets and tokenized stocks. You can watch afterwards. I'll be following up. QR codes right there. Scan a QR code if you find this of value. All my videos aren't this long. I promise you, folks. You go over the videos, you're going to see online 15 minutes. I'm in and out, folks, but this is different. This is me trying to explain to you background history. And that's why I have a private site, because if YouTube take me off tomorrow, I'm still functioning, folks. I never want to be in one place. I want to have multiple options. And some people want to take the time. They can't ask the questions they want to ask. So that's why I have a private site. Scan the QR code on the left, go to my private site. Scan the QR code on the right, go to the YouTube membership private site, if you will, membership. And if you want both, if you get both, just let me know. My email is not only on the site, but it's also on YouTube. Send me an email, Underdog. I have subscribed to both, and then I'll look to verify, and then I'll give you a discount code off of your platform so that your 100% of your membership at the analyst level is waived. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. That way you can have both sites, get all the information, and you don't have to do all the research yourself. I promise you this will save you so much time in researching. If you want to do what I do, I promise you, just go ahead out there. Go to RWAs, look at line, stay up to date. So I want you to keep that in mind. So thank you for being here. So let's get back to you folks, and then we're going to get out of here, see if you have any questions, and I'll follow up on where we left off and keep going. We've been going here for a while, and I appreciate everybody who took the time out of the day to be here. So we got, all right, new comment. Let's see. Big Mouth, Rob, 2957. The corporations get paid, not the retail. So here we go. And first of all, I want to say this to you, Rob, Big Mouth Rob. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I respect it. I respect your opinion. I hope you respect mine. But as I just did a lot of time discussing, I do have a difference in opinion, but it's not so much that I believe that you're not right. You're right. I just think that we've always gotten the crumbs of big corporation. So unless you believe in socialism, and some people do, capitalism, Ronald Reagan trickle-down effect, I could keep going on and on about the belief that that many have, that the corporations have to be wealthy in order for us to have the trickle-down effect in the economy. We're in a country right now, and a lot of debate if you're in the United States versus mentalities versus money and who has it. We're in a place right now in the world where we have people who believe in celebrityism. You look at the rich and it's a social capital thing versus an actual thing. People buy Gucci and they buy Maseratis and all these things to look like they're rich, where some of the wealthiest people in the world, you can't even tell they're wealthy because they try to do everything possible to keep from showing their wealth. At the same time, they live a life of no financial struggle because we want to be something we're not. Real wealth versus having money. So although I hear you, the corporations get paid, not the retail, that on face value to me is not true. And the reason not true, Rob, because why would we be in a space, Robinhood, Coinbase, and all these other spaces where we have seen, personally, I know I have seen a lot of money I've made from the market, and I'm retail. So I can't say that's not true. I just believe that the first part of what you're saying is truer than the last part, because I believe that the retail investors do make money. But if I didn't invest $100 million, I'm not expecting $100 million in return. I made as much money that's commensurate and more than what I invested. And so that's my difference in opinion. No, all due respect. I just want to make sure I addressed it. All right. So Real Wealth reposted this stream. I appreciate it, Real Wealth. Thank you for reposting the stream. I appreciate that. Much respect. I'll have to go check you out on X, so I appreciate it if you reposted. And I'm asking everybody to do what Real Wealth did. This is how this information gets out there and the product that you're in. Sean06, thank you for the information. Underdog. Prayers, strength, prayers, strength, prayers. Thank you very much. I need that. I need prayer strength. I need that power in that prayer. I know it. Phantom Beat 7967. They are telling everyone to their faces what they are going to make money doing. That's what those dollar signs mean to me. I'm telling you, folks, they're telling you everything in their faces. Scan those QR codes. I'm gonna look and see who took that advice and paid 66 cents a month to become an Underdog researcher, and who just want to use me for my time and not compensate me. It's capitalism, folks. So I'll believe you. All right, we got Aussie Love Plume Team is very strong. Trust me. All right. And Aussie, if you have something to do with Plume Team, I see your name a lot in Plume Goons. There's a X site that says Plume Goons. I see his name a lot. So Aussie, if you're associated with the team, let us know. All right, folks, is there nothing else? Then that is everything, folks. We have went through some main things. In conclusion, let me give it to you. Today, we went through what Plume does. We also went through Plume's RWA connections through the Plume report, the financial one. What else we do? We found out about Plume being a transfer agent by the SEC approved October 7, 2025. We also talked about BlackRock, Larry Fink, and how he talks about when crypto went down, Bitcoin specifically, to $80,000 from $126,000, that he saw through a $13.3 trillion company called BlackRock, that the big investors did something that retail investors didn't do. Retail investors saw as the end, but big players treat it like an entry. Which one do you want to be, folks? It's your choice. We also talked about Coinbase and Larry Fink. I shared that with you. We went over this. Larry Fink basically told us what's about to happen. We talked about in the past why people walked away from tokenized stocks, why it didn't work. And what did we find out? We compared and contrasted the old system versus the new system. And I applied that to Plume Network. You won't find it out there. I put it together for you so that you can apply it. Do you believe the analysis? Does it make sense to you? You don't have to agree with me, but that's what I found based on my research. We put it in the spectrum, what it used to look like, what it looks like now. I showed you this graph I put together for you. I have a few misspellings in there. I apologize, but the graph itself is what I wanted you to see. This is the new place, if you fit it in, how it should look. I told you this is the tipping point, how Plume enters the market. And I shared with you how the legacy model worked. Who else is doing that, folks? Who's giving you that information? I told you about the tokenization without legal change will fail. So that's why Plume is in a good place, because they already got the legal changes and the regulation through the SEC. We went through the way it used to work with tokenization of stocks. I told you about the tokenized stocks like Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon. We went over that. I gave you the beginning of this, the DTCC, the meaning of it, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, and what it did. And I also shared with you the main thing of my conversation in 2025 and beyond, how ZKMe, the company, and Plume, the company, got together, and ZKMe provided Plume a thing that they had to have to get the regulatory compliance called zero knowledge technology. And I told you that 5, 6, 7 months ago. And that was before all this bullish news. How did I see it coming? Because I told you about the rails before the road was laid down. And then I told you as well today, we talked about the question. The question today, can we tokenize it? That's not the question. It's, can we change the system? Coinbase is going to tell you about the system change. Plume has already told you about the system change. And I confirmed this with you on December the 12th of 2025 in a post that has been verified by Brian Armstrong himself, CEO of Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency exchange project in the whole United States. 181,200 views that they're doing 2 new things as products, tokenized stocks and prediction markets. And this conversation was not about prediction markets. This conversation is about tokenized stocks, because Plume is a transfer agent and they can take those tokenized stocks. But Coinbase is doing this one. And I also started off with this, the new Coinbase catalyst that you need to know about. Folks, that is all I have for you today. I appreciate you being here, folks. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation. This was a long one, but it was worth it. It will be cut down for you, brought to you, but you have an opportunity to see and be a part of this. If you want to get this type of research instead of the technical analysis jargon and other crazy nonsensical things that people tell you that you want to hear, if you want research over hype, if you want that at the deeper level, here's my QR code. Is it worth 66 cents? That's 2 quarters, 1 dime, a nickel, and a penny. If you believe it's worth that much to you, then go ahead and scan the site. If not, no harm, no foul. I'm happy that I can provide something for you, and I hope that is of value to you. I'm going to see who else is here, and then we're going to be out of here, folks. Last but not least, and then we are out of this place. Make sure you share and like this on the regular comments. If you want this video to get to others for a project that you may be in, make sure you do your job. So let's see who is here, and we'll finish this up, and we are out. We have Sean. Thank you for your information. We heard him talk. They're telling everyone to the face that we heard that one. Love the Plume team. We heard from Ozzy. And then Crypto Crossroads Show is here in the house. And he says VCs have to wait 11 to 17 years to get their money out. Through equity tokenization, VCs can pull their money out right away or the next day. Any thoughts on this? Because of the time, I had to come back to this because we're about to be at 2 hours. But I might give you a quick touch on it. Let me give you a quick touch on it. But let's see what else. See if we have time to do that. We have sent your wallet. I sent you Plume King. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. I haven't posted that, but I'll give you my information if that's what you want to do. I appreciate that, Aussie. And we have appreciate you. Appreciate it, V. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Phantom Beat, the longest running crypto subscriber to my platform. I appreciate you always, Phantom. We got Crypto Crossroads Show. Have you come across IXS on your RWA and Coinbase research? Coinbase Ventures invested in IXS real world assets, which is working with BlackRock, Securitize, Circle, Franklin Templeton, Red Belly, and so on. I have. Let me tell you what you just did. So Crypto Crossroads shows he has his own platform. I won't be able to answer all these questions, but what I'll do, Crypto Crossroads shows, I will do a live with you and answer these questions if you want to do a live with me and we can collaborate. But you hadn't collaborated with me yet, so I'm feeling some type of way. So if you want to talk about that, let's talk about it. But let's do a live together and share it with people. Folks, you can go to Crypto Crossroads Show if you want to see more information on his platform. And he is a great researcher. We have Real Wealth Fire. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ozzy, Gifts, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Real Wealth, go to do a deep dive with WLFI U 2006-26 Plume. Okay, I'll look at that. I'll take a look at that. I have respect for you, to you, bro. Thank you, Aussie. I appreciate it. Much respect. Real Wealth, love what you're doing, brother. Prayers. Thank you very much, Real Wealth. I appreciate you reposting me as well, and I respect you back. Respect. All right, folks. That is it, folks. We have gotten through all the comments. So grateful I could be here for you today, folks. Happy that we had an opportunity to share this time. Make sure you subscribe to the Underdog Research Channel. And until next time, this has been the Underdog Research Channel. Take care.
Been a plume goon since start down, need permission, now I stay real with it. Lay one foundation, always gon' build, bro, I been biddle with it. Your homeboy check the cash out, smart contracts with a cash out. Everybody want smoke till I turn the dare and show you where the house at. Spun the block, turns out I been BlackRock. Protocol, treasuries, bonds on me, got them padlocked. Been the best out, they can imitate. Get the best out, then you integrate. Ask Ondo, who Rambo, drew first blood, boy, I been a great. Everybody think they starboard, I'm in orbit. Stella still, hella Stella though, I like Swift better for the corporates. I'm the enterprise, I took the knives, Hamilton on chain. Zero knowledge, always never improvise. The White House, know my name.